for joining XR which is India's first AR/VR focused podcast. And today, I'm delighted to have with me Kisson Lin, who's been part of companies such as TikTok and Facebook. And currently, she's the co-founder at Mindverse AI, a company that provides mind as a service to businesses and individuals. So, Kisson, really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. Why don't we start with a small, brief introduction and background?
Yeah, thank you, Eddie, for bringing me on board and making such introduction. I'm Kisson. I'm the co-founder and COO of Mindverse AI. We're an AGI company that tries to help everyone make AI agents by themselves. So imagine that this is a Shopify for AI, where you can customize your AI agent that can accompany you or work for you or doing all these entertainment tasks for you. So just like anything that you want, you can customize your workflow here. But not only you can customize your own AI agents, but also there are a lot of AI agents built by other people on the platform. So you can chat with them and explore what are possible in there.
You mentioned that your company is working on AGI, and it's going to be a platform where custom retail shops would be able to leverage that and communicate with their customers, and even it would allow people to build their own applications. So I would want to get into that more, and also AGI and what exactly that you're doing. But I guess it'll be nice if you could, start with kind of, explaining what AI is, and also maybe generative AI, because that seems to be in the hype cycle. So maybe it will be good if you could start from there.
A brief introduction is that generative AI basically is a machine learning framework that allows the AI to produce images or texts. So those data, imagine that those data are not produced by human; they are produced by the machines, and that is generative AI. They can generate things for you, generate like images, generate texts, generate services, and so a common example of generative AI is basically the GANs that we usually hear about, generative adversarial networks. And this is a type of machine learning system that consists of a generator network and a discriminator network. So I won't go into like tag details, but just remember, like when you are using Midjourney, this is generative AI. And artificial general intelligence, on the other hand, is artificial intelligence that can have like supreme intelligence on a general, broadly vast disciplines. So for instance, it not only can generate text, but it also can understand code, understand symbols, understand your human emotions, etc. And how to have a machine network or a machine learning framework that understand a broad discipline of things. So there are several ways to achieve that. And one of the most common way that we see nowadays with ChatGPT is large language models. So by putting a large set of parameters, mimicking the neural network that human beings have, the machine is able to process a lot of information, a lot of data, and to form its own understanding of broad disciplines of knowledge. And so AGI is basically more like us. We can understand a lot of different tasks, and we can do a lot of different things. They not necessarily need to be like one man is good at maths and another is good at Chinese or English. But it could be like everyone is flexible and can be possible of learning everything. So that is AGI. And AI, broadly speaking, is basically, we all talked about AI. It's like a machine can help humans achieve a lot of tasks, can help human enhance their efficiency in doing their work, and can also be like develop into digital beings. So imagine that all the sci-fis that we read, and the movies that we watched. If you have watched the movie Her, the Samantha is basically a typical AI that we envision to happen in the future, and that is AGI. Or like the Javas in the Iron Man series, that is also an AGI, super assistant who can be able to do anything. So that's a basic introduction. I hope that's useful.
Yeah, completely, Kisson. Really appreciate you kind of, giving an overview of what AI, AGI, and generative AI is. And And I mean, you rightfully explained, I mean, artificial general intelligence would be able to do anything and everything that we humans do. It'll have general knowledge, not just the narrow intelligence, maybe, what the AI has, or current AI systems has, and Gen AI, which has the like the GANs, the underlying tech behind it, the GANs behind it. Through it, you could just put in a couple of prompts, and the prompts kind of gives you whatever you desire. I mean, out of it, whether it's text to images, text to video, text to 3D, text to search, and so on and so forth. So I think we're getting into a very, very exciting world. And then obviously, besides the AI, Gen AI, and AGI field, which we'll get into later, is also this field of metaverse. And sometimes what's happening is this: all of these tech stack is kind of converging. We getting post COVID, we've been accelerated into a world where we largely getting into the virtual world. The reason I say this is because I've got an 8-year-old boy, and he largely lives on these virtual worlds, such as Roblox and and things like that. And I believe that, I think the companies and the brands needs to be cognizant about this move of these future generation who are transitioning from the physical to the virtual world. And the virtual world, I think, is going to be as economically valuable as a physical world. So, and you've been part of some of the largest companies, Meta, which has been kind of like forefronting the metaverse, and also ByteDance. Would you be able to kind of give us an overview of what the metaverse is, and what's this AI and metaverse convergence which is happening, and the value?
Right. Oh, that's a very broad question, and it's very futuristic. I like it. I was also wondering what your son would think, because we are of different generations, and each generation think of the future, think of the technology in a very different way. And so, when I was working at Meta, I was in the corporate strategy team, and we were helping the XR team building the future narrative towards Oculus. And we were thinking about imagining how can we bring the town hall or sitting room or bedroom kind of environment to the XR interface. And this definitely provoked a lot of thinking, because from internet to mobile internet, a lot of things changed because the touch point, the GUI is different, from clicking on the mouse, clicking on the keyboard, to touch on the screen, and you being able to access to the internet all the time will give you a lot of convenience, and that enables the whole delivery, the whole apps, the whole cab calling, all these convenient apps, and messaging apps as well, right? And what about AR with AR and VR? And we have a completely different world. And now the digital world and the physical world will just converge even more closely. And just imagine you can, when you are walking on the street, you can see all the digital information of everything that's appearing in front of you. And that's truly informative. And just imagine that when you are, walking on the street, or when you are sitting at home, you can have a virtual assistant or a virtual company sitting beside you and watching movies together with you. Or when you are doing interviews, you wear your AR glasses and you can see all the scripts on your AR glasses. And now you can be like interview killer. You can nail all the interviews all at once. And so there are so many possibilities with XR. But the thing is, when we truly set up this business, Mindverse, we also discussed about how AI and metaverse can converge, because that is the trend, believe it or not. And we are a deep believer of, technology will advance our daily life and will make our daily life more efficient. And being utility driven is one of our vision. And also being at the convergence of different technologies is definitely something that we aim for. So especially when we launched this project, it was like 2021 and 2022. And by that time, everyone was talking about metaverse. No one was talking about AGI back then. So when we were trying to raise funding, and when we were thinking about the vision of the company, we really thought, what would things in metaverse look like? What can AI change? What role can AI play in metaverse in the future? And one thing that came to our mind is, you know what, from PC to mobile to XR, one thing that changed the most is interaction. UI, UX. The human-machine interaction changes a lot given the different devices. And with XR, human-machine interaction is not going to be like touch screen. It's not going to be voice control. It's going to be a whole combination of voice control, gesture, and your facial expression and everything. And that requires a whole different operating system. It also means that in a world where, digital world and physical world converge together, you need to have generative AI to generate all the content all at once. For instance, when you try to, do Pokemon Go with AR, XR glasses, it's not like you go on touch screen and then try to catch the Pokemons. It's like you can all at once immerse yourself and wear virtual clothing and play around with the Pokemons on the playground. And who is going to come up with the virtual clothing? Generative AI. And also imagine like you wearing XR glasses and try to do fitness app. Instead of like still selecting on the various pre-recorded videos, the best way of interaction is on the app. You immediately see a virtual fitness coach who can coach you and who can just like be one-on-one coach together and do the fitness training together with you. And so we thought about that and we think, wow, natural language as the universal AI, universal UI is going to be a trend as the convergence of metaverse and AI. And then there comes the generative AI, which will provide real-time, more personalized, more immersed content and services.
In the next few years, when we break away from a 2D interface and get into the 3D world powered by these HMDs, which are possibly as light as this, and has the utility of whatever you mentioned, where we, instead of us going to the school or going to the healthcare or to the work, that work, school and healthcare coming to us, I think that will be such a ground-breaking moment for humanity, where I think then truly we humans would then possibly, maybe value and understand that we live in a hyper-connected world and that the current way of overconsumption without conservation, which is leading us to a global crisis, will possibly take us to a world where, I'm not saying that we all would want to get into the metaverse, but, we would be saving a carbon footprint and there could be more family time. We could really get into a great world, but that still is a little far away because we still haven't managed to miniaturize the batteries and
right,
the processing power and so on to these, these glasses, But I'm sure that's all hurdles which we are going to overcome, and there's going to be a huge opportunity, and I think all businesses, individuals, and even content creators should be leveraging this opportunity. So this opportunity that we're talking about, Mindverse is trying to leverage that. You guys at the forefront of it. Can you talk about this? What this opportunity is going to be, maybe elaborate on the opportunity, and Mindverse AI, what are you guys doing to leverage the opportunity?
When my co-founder and I talked about this business idea back in like 2021, we thought that there are 4 phases that AI could change the world, or AGI could change, at least apps and software. So phase 1 is that AI changes the way information is distributed, and that has already happened. It created a lot of billion-dollar companies like TikTok, like Facebook, like Google, and so that already happened. And phase 2 is that natural language as UI, LUI, will be a good combination together with GUI. And so LUI in combination with GUI will change the app landscape, because all of a sudden you have every app being capable of doing a lot of things. So apps are no longer restrained with their GUI design, but they can be capable of providing a lot of functionalities to people. And so what matters more is the data with the app. And so that's the second phase. And that phase, luckily, is happening right now with all these co-pilots and with like Neobing together with ChatGPT. So it's happening now. And even Sam Altman is talking about LUI right now, right? So I think that this is happening right now on mobile. And, when it comes to Metaverse, LUI will take more proportion of the UI, of the interaction, given the nature of the device. But with mobile, GUI is still going to be dominant, but LUI can be a very good combination. And so the third phase, when we pass the second phase, the third phase will be LUI in combination with generative AI. So generative AI is really capable of generating content in real time and in a very personalized way. And what will happen when we combine LUI with like generative AI? Well, that's AI agents that we see on the screen. So as mentioned, if you open a fitness app, you no longer see a lot of pre-recorded videos and you have to select. Instead, you see a fitness coach, virtual fitness coach, and you can tell him what you're interested in doing, and he sees your environment and he can design a course for you immediately. Or if you are, let's say, if you're hoping to generate a PRD, write a marketing material, right? So all these services or content can be generated by AI in the real time, depending on what you want. So just like write a prompt, AI will throw to you all the content and services that you want. That's going to be this third phase, AI agent. And after that, there's going to be the fourth phase, which is AGI to the service field is going to be like the made to order to manufacturing. So let's imagine like before made to order, the way, the constant approach for manufacturing is everything starts from the supply side. The supply side comes with design, comes with materials, produces the products, and distributes to the demand side. But with made to order, things changed. Everything starts from the demand side. I have a request. I send to the factory. Factory produces it and distributes to me. AGI and generative AI in combination will bring to the service world exactly the same effect. Everything starts from the demand side. So let's imagine I open a PC every day in the morning and I tell the AI what my workflow looks like. I draw the workflow on a board, and the AI will design the app for me. AI will build the app for me. And all the existing apps or services that we see nowadays will become behind the screen, will become suppliers for the new kind of like generative apps or generative software. That's what the fourth phase is going to look like in our point of view. And so when we built this business, we thought that MindOS as a startup needs to aim for further landscape than the large companies. So we envisioned ourselves to aim for the third phase, even at the very beginning. So even at like 2 years ago, we thought about MindOS as a name, and it's an operating system for everyone to create their own AI agents. And that's what we aim at, the third phase. And we think that, starting from 2022, we built this MindOS platform. And for now, at least according to many of our users, it seems to be one of the most complete platforms to build an AI agent right now. And since more and more people are talking about AI agents, we think that we are in a very good position to provide value to a lot of people who are, who are very creative, who have great ideas of how AI agents can power their work and their friends' work. And we are here to like provide this value to people.
So can you elaborate on these AI agents? I mean, how is it being currently used? Maybe give some use cases.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things about AI agents is you imagine that large language models that we use for like ChatGPT, right? I believe a lot of people have interacted with ChatGPT, and it's fantastic. It provides a lot of value. It completes a lot of tasks, but it doesn't have memories and it doesn't have its own personality. And so it's more like if we make a metaphor about human brain, then LLMs are more like the frontal cortex of our brain. It does amazing computing. It's very smart, but it doesn't have the memories and everything. And so AI agent is this, with agent framework, it has more capabilities. So it has that, for instance, the memories. It also has the different types of chain of thought, the services capabilities, and a lot of things. So it's basically like a digital being that can do a lot of things, and you can define this digital being's biography, like its personality, and you can give the digital being some specific domain knowledge, and make the digital being more aware of your domain, and so he or she becomes an expert in something. And so with AI agents, every AI agent can be different from each other. So this is very different idea from using one ChatGPT that to serve every task, and that ChatGPT becomes a killer app and can do everything. I think the key issue is that when we think about human-to-human interaction, we naturally think about every person with his strength, his personality. And we naturally want to interact with different people. So even, for instance, when we are doing financial planning, and there are many financial planners, we naturally think about, oh, he is very good at long-term planning. He looks at company fundamentals. He looks at the macro economy, and he analyzes the macro trends and does like 5-year planning. So if I do long-term planning, I go to this guy. And another guy is very good at quantitative analysis, and he's very good at like doing short-term trades. So if I want to do like 1 or 2 days trades, I'll go to this guy. And so we naturally have like understanding towards different people. And I think that's a more natural way for us to interact. And it's also a very natural and trustworthy way for us to interact with machines. And so AI agents is the same thing. On MindOS, we allow people to create those workflow. It's pretty much like a chain of thought. Sorry, it's like it's like you can define how an AI thinks. So, for instance, let's take the financial planner as an example again. If someone cares about PE ratio, he can define the financial analyst as someone who is very good at analyzing PE ratio and reproduces his logic of analysis onto the AI agent. And if someone is very good at analyzing the financial reports, financial statements from the companies, then his agents will care more about like companies who are about to publish their financial analysis in the coming quarter, and will focus more on analyzing the statements. And so you can have like different agents representing different people's thought, and whoever I believe in, I can talk to him and try to gain different ideas or different opinions. And that's very interesting use case already. And some other use cases that we see on this on our platform. So basically, it can be good salespeople for different brands. And we know that different brands have different personalities or narratives. Some brands tend to be more interactive and lively, and some brands tend to be more cautious and more mature. And so given the AI agents different personalities and allowing it to perform consistently with that personality will allow the brands to interact with people in a more natural as well as more consistent way. Of course, we saw a lot of other great applications as well. So one of the users on our platform is a medical doctor. And he created a patient on our platform with AI agent framework, so that he uploaded the patient problems to the patient. So the patient really becomes a patient with specific problem, and he asks his students to talk to the patient and diagnose in the end what problem goes on with the patient. And he scores his students based on the sequence of the questions and the way they ask the questions. And so basically their students needs to be able to diagnose what's going on with the patient. And it provides a very good a case for like education. Outside of like coursework, you can have like simulative work. And so that provides with students more understanding and more empathy towards patients. So yeah, really a lot of applications can happen. So I think the general guidance is just to think about AI agents like real human beings. The way you train them, the way you use them is really like how you train or work together with your coworker.
Eventually, you're saying, I mean, not just the financial industry, I mean, possibly all industries, whether it's the retail, doctors, all these industries are going to have these agents who's going to be communicating with the consumers and figuring out the problems and solving out the problems. Super exciting. How's the funding being leveraged, and what's the pricing plan at this point in time?
Gotcha. I'll talk about the funding first. So we secured 2 rounds of funding last year since the establishment. The first round was led by Sequoia in China, now called Hongshan, after their rebranding, and followed by some other very good tier 1 VCs. And the second tier was led by Xingu and also followed by PMP. So we have really good top tier international investors supporting us since the last year. And right now we are actually at the 3rd round of fundraising. So anyone, if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me. And in terms of the pricing, current pricing, we have like 4 tiers. So I'm not talking about like pricing in terms of the company, like valuation. I'm talking about pricing for the users. So if you hear like, oh, we're priced at $9.9, no, that's not the valuation. Okay. Just in case. So our pricing is in 4 tiers. One tier is that if you bring your own OpenAI API key, and within 200 queries per month, it's completely free. And the second tier is still if you bring your own OpenAI API key, and for unlimited queries per month, if you really want to like use it freely every day and extensively. So that only costs $9.9 per month, US dollars. And the third tier is that if you don't have your own OpenAI API key, that's also fine. Within 500 queries per month, we charge for $15 US. And the last tier is for unlimited queries. And still, if you don't have your own OpenAI API key, then we charge for $49 US per month. So those are the standard pricing. And if you're looking to deploy the AI agents onto your website and you're expecting sizable traffic on your website, so for the sake of like better performance on the website, you need to have like more API, more keys, more access. And in that case, we have the enterprise plan, and it's on one-on-one discussion.
Right. So this is going to be a broad question, Kisson. There are a lot of these entrepreneurs, students who want to get in the space, space of AI, space of generative AI, put their startups together. What would be your advice to them? Where should they start from?
I myself is an entrepreneur, a startup, so I'm probably only speaking from my own understanding, from my own experience, and it could be limited. I totally agree. First of all, I totally agree with Sam Altman saying, like, if you're a startup and you start something with generative AI, do start with your proprietary data, because in a world of AI, data is the key, and LLMs are already leveraging all the open source, open website, open internet data. So it's very knowledgeable already. But what it cannot do is all the proprietary data in certain fields. And so if you're a startup and if you have proprietary data in certain fields, that gives you tremendous advantage, and build it out and try to leverage the LLM in a way that you have data in your memory sector and you have the frontal cortex. There's a lot of things that you can do. And another interesting dimension I think of is to focus on the application layer, because nowadays when we think about AI, there's a lot of like fancy imagination and people think it can do anything. But really, when we talk to ChatGPT or when we talk to a lot of like AI tools currently in the market, they're still far away from completing the last mile. So for instance, with image editing, a lot of people still use Midjourney or a lot of image editing tools for inspiration, for brainstorming. But for it to be used in businesses, you have to deal with, patent, you have to deal with copyright infringement, and you have to deal with, how it combines with your logo and specific small edits, and a lot of things. So with marketing text generation as well, with marketing materials, you also need to do like the last bit of edit by yourself. And so those kind of editing are still largely done with traditional software like Words, PowerPoint, etc. And so if there is startups that can combine these generative AI, very sexy models with the last mile of editing and publishing, so that saves people a lot of time and increases the efficiency by large, and that is something interesting as well. And another thing for like startups, not only looking to build generative AI related startups, but also looking to general startups looking to build anything, e-commerce, etc. My general suggestion is that given that AI is such a big trend and everyone is embracing it right now, and the technology is increasing exponentially at exponential pace, for any startups trying to build any sort of apps, think about the combination of GUI with LUI. Think about how generative AI can bring value to your app, trying to make your app or software AI native from day one, because otherwise it's going to be like harder to combine all the data and to rebuild it afterwards. So like think about like the AI native applications from day one. So that's my general suggestions from my perspective.
The acceleration of technology, you mentioned about proprietary data, if a startup needs to start in the Gen AI space, but largely I think most of the top Gen AI startups have leveraged public facing data, and that's the reason. I mean, if you're seeing at least those text to images, you have these images spawning off of these well-known artists, so that obviously is a problem. Now this whole tech acceleration space, I mean, if you can stick to that topic and talk about that, that's leading to automation. What I'm trying to say is that these Gen AI platforms, these no code platforms are also maybe making these coders, engineers also redundant. I mean, not redundant in a way where it's completely disappearing, but then there's a lot of these engineers are losing the job because there are these Gen AI startups which does just, writes the code for you, it does data analytics and so on and so forth. And this is just 2023. Could you paint a picture of how do you see this panning out maybe in the next 10 years? Does AI take all of these industries over? Does coding get redundant? What's your overall view on the way tech is accelerating?
Yeah, that's a very thought-provoking question. So first of all, I think like for every industry, technology is not going to replace the best people in each industry. So the best people will only be better with the enhancement of technology. But that said, given the technology, from industrial revolution to currently AI, it replaces the average or below average performers in certain industries, and that's going to be a trend. And so we see that there is industry redistribution or labor redistribution. So, for instance, with industrial revolution, a lot of people have changed their jobs to become, a knowledge worker instead of like labor in the labor markets selling physical work. But with AI, the very ironic thing is it does so well in learning knowledge, in generating texts, in doing things that knowledge workers are able to do. And so what can we focus on if we are not the best people in our industries? And that's a question that remains in the society. I don't think like nowadays we have a great solution. I don't think like any government in the world has great solution to help those people figure out a way to generate value to the society. I think that's going to be, from my perspective, that's going to be a a main issue that government, together with AI companies, together with all the large companies, need to work together to try to solve this problem. And especially when generative AI or LLMs use so many open web data, and all these open web data is generated by people, every one of us collectively. And I do think that AI companies who are utilizing those data need to give value back to people, everyone in the society, because they utilizes all the data from everyone in the society. And so there needs to be a way that you provide value back to the people. And Sam Altman's UBI is probably one of the solutions. But I think, a better solution would be not only to give value back to people, but also helping them figure out a way to continuously provide value to the society. Because a lot of times we as individuals are not looking to just having passive income. We are looking to actively provide value to the society so that we feel sense of achievement. And that is something that AI companies need to think about. And we have certain approaches, but we are still far away from solving this problem. And we're anyways a small company, but we think that in the future, when everyone can train their AI agents in a certain way, and what we are developing right now is not only you upload your proprietary data, but also you talk to the AI, you try to train the AI as a teacher and student, and the AI can go out and do a lot of a lot of work for you, but we try to secure the economic return for the AI, and that economic return can go back to you. And so everyone can create very unique AI and produce services or value to a small group of people, and secure the economic return. So that's what we think, but we still think that we are far away from having that problem solved. And I do hope that people like Sam Altman, Elon Musk, or governments in different world can come together and try to think about solutions.
Yes, so this is such a urgent conversation that I think we as a society need to ask, because our world, unfortunately or fortunately, have 90% of average or below average people, and I guess that's what makes the world beautiful. And there's possibly 10% which is really, really intelligent, or the ones who are building the world. But I guess the diversity and inclusiveness of different people, culture, low IQ, high IQ makes the world interesting. If the world only had the Elon Musk, I think the world would be extremely boring. But how do we make the low average or even the average people compensated in this world, which is going to be completely tech driven? Because I think almost all the companies today, which is physical, largely are going to be metaverse based company or AI based company and tech based companies. And then sometimes I wonder what's going to happen about those people who are largely doing these physical businesses. Where would they go? Would they be left out? So that itself is a very scary situation. Possibly UBI is the answer, because I don't even understand what the world could look like in a 10 to 15 years roadmap with the way the tech is accelerating. And if Gen AI, we have low code and possibly no code tools, and possibly maybe if Gen AI or AI is automating every specific task what a human can do, where would the humans be left? So would AGI be an answer? I mean, today, there's two camps. One is saying AGI is going to be an existential risk. Second is saying that AGI is going to be that tech stack which is going to lead us to human evolution. You guys are working on AGI. Can you elaborate on what AGI is or could be, and what could be the most likely approach of building AGI, and what would the world look like when we have AGI? It's a broad question, but would be great to have your views on it.
Right. So with regards to technical perspective, technological advancement, I think One very interesting breakthrough we saw last year is with the appearance of like ChatGPT, and OpenAI was adopting this approach, combining LLM with reinforcement learning. And people previously thought that one framework will lead to, if we do it well, will lead to AGI. But what OpenAI shows to people is probably, well, there's a possibility that we combine different frameworks together. And what we are, at Mindverse, what we are trying to do is to combine LLMs not only with reinforcement learning, but also, to combine LLMs with neuroscience inspired approaches. So for instance, I mean, it's a very interesting research field right now, because we have symbolic AI, we have LLMs, we have neuro inspired approaches, and all of these frameworks have a lot of believers, but trying to combine both, that requires a lot of engineering work. And we try to combine these approaches to potentially, achieve some certain values. So one is that LLMs can become more efficient or capable of incorporating more biologically realistic feature. And secondly is that, neuroscience research can also benefit from a lot of tools and techniques. And as mentioned, human brain is very complicated and beautiful, and LLMs can serve as very, good function, frontal cortex, but understanding human brains more will allow the LLMs in combination with neuroscience network to achieve more together. And that could potentially push AGI forward for more. And my co-founder, Dr. Tao, has been studying this approach since 2020. And he has a neurosymbolic lab before we founded this company, and that lab has around 30-ish people, and some of them are neuroscientists, and some of them are brain scientists, and they together studied how human brain works, and that can be combined with LLMs. And so we are in the development of this very new approach, and for now what you see is that this very basic concept can help us build very flexible and good performing fine-tuning framework. And in the future, it might be able to do more. So stay tuned on that. But on the other hand, when it comes to what AGI can bring to this world, I'm optimistic and pessimistic in the same time, because a lot of times it really, it's very hard to forecast what exactly a new technology will bring to this world. But the thing that we can do is to, try to have more discussions, more critical discussions at the very early stage, and try to avoid any bad consequences, and to have good faith in human society. And I think on the optimistic side, what AGI can bring to this world is more people can unleash their creativity and critical thinking. Because nowadays, when you think about our educational path, our work path, we spend so much time educating ourselves and try to remember all these facts. Whenever it's history, it's science, there's a lot of facts that we need to remember, that we need to learn at early stage. But with AGI, we can actually learn much faster, and we don't have to learn all these facts all at once. We can probably learn about the framework, the logic, and have AGI remember all these facts for us and become our external brain. And when AGI can serve as a more advanced search engine or task machine, each one of us can focus more on rather than answering questions. We can focus more on asking questions. And if our core skills become asking questions, then we can ask a lot of very interesting questions and ask AI to solve it. And that's what Elon Musk is trying to build, with XAI, trying to find the secrets of the universe. What a sexy topic! And there are a lot of things that we can definitely use AI to do, all these scientific research, all these very interesting experiments on culture, experiments on company organization, etc. Those can be done in in a simulative environment. That's also in combination with like Metaverse and AI. So a lot of things can be done, and all these things will need people to do it. So on the optimistic side, I think like everyone in the future can focus on a research topic that he or she is very interested in, and don't have to worry about work or making money.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned about Elon Musk and his company XAI, and he's working on the topic you mentioned, understanding reality. And there are times, he's mentioned that the reality itself is completely simulated. It's not just him. There's others like Donald Hoffman and many others who say that we living in a simulated world. What are your thoughts on that?
That's wild thought. I tend to believe that too, but I would leave it to AI to solve that problem for us to find out the truth. I think there are a better way, because they can escape from the Earth. They can go to the Mars and go outside of the universe and try to find out the truth, right?
Right. No, fair enough. Kisson, it was lovely talking to you. Would you leave us with your predictions on what the 10 years is the next 10 years is going to look like, and the future roadmap of Mindverse AI?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So I think what we are trying to build is a human AI co-working network, so professional network. So just imagine a network with LinkedIn-like network with AI as digital beings in there, and you can make friends with them. You can ask them to help you finish a task. You can hire them, or you can basically create some of them yourself. And that network can also integrate with a lot of like software or apps itself, and can already have a lot of jobs done within the network itself, and all the economic returns are secured within that network. So that's what we're trying to build, and that's why our company name is called Mindverse. We hope that it's going to be a multiverse with AI and human beings collaborating with each other, and trying to define a lot of things and with a lot of possibilities.
Thank you, Kisson. Really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. Wish you and your team the very best. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. And until next time, see you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Kisson. Really appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you, Eddie. Very interesting discussions.